Bonjour, mon nom est Justin Decloux, je suis ici aujourd'hui avec
Will Sloan.
et t'écoutes le club du cinéma important.
Vive le Québec Libre.
Et aujourd'hui, nous parlons à propos de GIlles Carles. Oh, sorry, I had something stuck in my throat there.
Oh, that's right.
No, this week
I'm pulling out my phone with the Translate app, and I'm just holding it in front of you right now.
people are hitting their podcast app being like, am I on the wrong track?
That's right.
We are talking about Quebec filmmaker GIlles Carles today, someone that I've been pretty passionate about for almost a decade.
How did you discover GIlles Carles? Because almost a decade, I first heard of his existence kind of when, not Vinegar Syndrome, but one of their partner labels, Canadian National Pictures, put out a box set or a DVD set that it was called The Other French New Wave. And it collected several films made in Quebec in the 1960s that were tapping into the spirit of the Quiet Revolution and were also inspired by some of the energy in, the new waves across Europe. That's when I heard about him for the first time.
I think I heard about him when I started just digging deep into Canadian cinema, maybe when I was working at the Canadian Screen Awards. And if you look into the late 60s, early 70s, his name is going to be everywhere. And that I remember his films popping up when the TIFF Lightbox opened, the cinema that is sponsored by the Toronto International Film Festival in Toronto, of course. They had a list where they screened 100 Canadian films that they deemed important, and 2 of his films were on that list.
Now, Canadian film, I, like too many of my fellow Anglo-Canadians, typically think of it as just, well, first of all, I never think of Canadian film. None of us in this country think of Canadian film. But,
Hey, I do.
But when we do, we typically think about English Canadian film. Mm-hmm. We think about the National Film Board. We think about the tax shelter era. We think about, our old friends, Cronenberg, Egoyan, maybe Arcand, and he represents all of Quebec, which, to be clear, if there is a Canadian film industry, it's in Quebec.
Now, we did do a episode on Quebec cinema a long time ago. And if people don't know, I grew up in a French Ontario town. So I did get Radio-Canada, the French, that channel was on all the time. But even us, we didn't watch that many Canadian films. Did we watch Elvis Gratton when it came out? Oh, Elvis Gratton 2, because it was a long gap sequel. Yes.
What about Les Boys?
Yeah, we watched Les Boys. But beyond that, we aren't really watching any classical cinema unless maybe it's 11 a.m. on Radio-Canada and they're just playing these old movies because they need something to fill the time. That is Canadian content.
Now, as we mentioned on last week's episode, in the late 1930s, Canada, which at the time was just a little baby nation, had a population of about 7-8 people spread across a few cities, a few colonies. Mostly it was darkness. Mm-hmm. That's true, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So we obviously didn't have a lot of movies. And the government said, maybe we should have some movies in this country. But obviously we don't have enough people here to fund a film industry. We may never. So what if we created, with your tax dollars, an organization called the National Film Board of Canada?
Oh, are you going to make feature films for public consumption as well as different ones?
No. We're going to make documentaries.
Oh, okay.
They're going to be boring. No, yes. I'm sorry. I'm obnoxious.
Hey, we're going to make documentaries. We're also, for some reason, going to make animated films as well. And those will be our 2 specialties.
Some of the best animated films ever.
Yes,
absolutely. The cat came back.
The cat came back the very next day.
So for many years, the National Film Board of Canada was, for all intents and purposes, Canada's film industry.
Mm. And there is a Quebec branch called the ONF, which is Office National du Film.
Now, we're going to get to GIlles Carles in a moment, but it's important to talk about the cultural context that spawned GIlles Carles. From 1944 to 1959, Quebec was ruled by Maurice Duplessis, the conservative premier. A very corrupt premier, a very right-wing premier, very anti-worker, very anti-secular. During that time, and for considerable time before that, Quebec's healthcare and education sectors were controlled by the Catholic Church. In 1960, when the liberal Jean Lesage was elected premier, I may be mispronouncing his name,
That's
my apologies. Close. He and his party oversaw the secularization of certain of these institutions, education and healthcare primarily, created government bureaus for those. And that was the opening of the so-called Quiet Revolution, which expanded far beyond just a few policies and reforms. It influenced the spirit of the times in Quebec. Quebec, a province that had for years been ruled both literally and spiritually by the Catholic Church, started to see itself disconnecting from that.
And also, Quebec hate the English. very mistreated. I was looking it up recently, and like French was banned for a while, even in Ontario.
I mean, as I understand it, it's in the Quiet Revolution that the modern Québécois identity, in fact, even the term Québécois was coined during this time.
Now, GIlles Carles comes up wanting to be an artist, not necessarily a filmmaker. He talks about in a long-form interview that he did later in life that like he grew up in a small town. He didn't even see that many movies, and that when he did see movies, his biggest complaint was, why is it raining all the time in movies? I don't get it. And it's because the films were so scratched up that there was constant lines on screen.
He began his career as a businessman, but he was...
Basically, yeah. So, and he always worked in advertising as well, that he did like tons of commercials. He was a visual artist, principally. That's what he went to school for. And that he gets into the NFB, and he's part of this whole gang, like you talked about, that Nouvelle Vague, who, through the resources of the NFB or the ONF, make like what is meant to be educational films, but are influenced by stuff like the French New Wave, and they're bringing a whole different style and vibe to things that are often seen as homework and dreary.
And these filmmakers, including also Gilles Carles and Jacques Godbout. Jacques.
I'm not.
Yeah. You're the one who speaks French, buddy. But Gilles Carles also, you know, I suppose also Claude Jutra, but I guess he was a somewhat separate.
No,
gang.
He did work for the ONF.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he did a bunch of documentary stuff, but it's just that his first film, he did it independently without any of their funding.
Many of these filmmakers regarded the National Film Board of Canada with skepticism. They regarded it as basically a force of cultural imperialism from English Canada. They felt very acutely their own marginalized status within this government organization. In 1964, Gilles Carles published in this left-wing nationalist magazine called Parti Pris this kind of manifesto, writing about how he wanted to make feature films, fiction films, that reflected the identity of Quebec as it existed now.
And the way that they would do that was through the shorts. Like, for example, we watch Percé on the Rocks from 1964, which is a documentary that Gilles Carles made to document this like rock formation that's very famous. And maybe he saw a few Godard films before he made this film.
Oh, yeah. Do you think so?
Yeah. So, and I checked, Hard Day's Night, I think came out the same year or the year after that. So lots of quick cuts, lots of animation. 3 beautiful ladies are narrating the whole thing and appearing on screen as well.
In 1965, Gilles Carles made his first feature film. It's only 70 minutes, but it's basically a feature. And it was commissioned because the NFB was looking for a series of 30-minute documentaries about winter. The way winter affected the Canadian identity, its spirit.
God.
Oh, my God. Doesn't it sound so fucking boring?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I love how they hate them for making these like feature films out of the resources. They should be fucking praising them for doing this kind of stuff.
But yeah, Gilles Carles was one of the filmmakers commissioned. Instead of making a 30-minute documentary about a snowplow driver, he made a 70-minute, very new wave influenced fiction film that also incorporated many documentary elements.
Yes.
The plot is that Leopold Zed, the movie is called The Merry World of Leopold Zed. He's a snowplow driver on Christmas Eve. He's hoping to get to midnight mass. He's also trying to support his family. Standing in the way of him getting to midnight mass is this epic, gigantic snowstorm that has hit Montreal. Of course, if you know Montreal, the winter situation is bad there, folks, except the year that he made this movie. Where there were no snowstorms. So the movie took 18 months to make. It didn't come out.
No snowstorms. Yeah, like in Toronto, right? Looks out the window. Oh, man.
It didn't come out until 1965. But in the process, he made this very light, I mean, in spirit, in style, it feels like something like Cleo from 5 to 7.
Yeah, it also feels like very Richard Lester-esque in the way, even a little bit of Terry Gilliam surrealism in there as well.
Lighthearted story about this man, this well-meaning snowplow driver, just trying to navigate this Quebec society that he's in.
Yeah, it's not super compelling. I think it's interesting as a document of this particular moment.
I mean, it's sweet.
Yes.
It's got a likable, upbeat tone.
Shaggy.
Yeah, it's mildly funny. I think much of the interest of it comes from, well, frankly, the documentary parts of it. You see a lot of documentary footage of what Montreal looked like at that time. As with a lot of his films, lurking around the edges is commentary on Quebec society and its relationship to the motherland at this time.
And so after this film came out, NFB wasn't happy with him, and Gilles Carles said that everything he pitched to them got turned down, so he quit, and he went on his own way. I did watch his second feature film, Le Viol d'une jeune femme douce, The Rape of a Sweet Young Girl. boy. Man, Godard should have sued for this film.
Oh, tell me more about it. What was Godardian about it? First of all, what a title.
The font of it. It's just like everyone speaks in a dull monotone the entire time. They're always up against walls. Just the editing, free-flowing narrative. It's very...
A lot of text on screen.
So much. And is that text maybe rainbow colored? You know it. It's basically like his version of Infâme et Infâme. That's the musical one, right? Okay, yeah. I always get those early 60s Godards confused. But yeah, very much in that vein. It doesn't really work, but you can see him like, is this what I want to do? As his style would mostly kind of come together into something like The True Nature of Bernadette. But even before that one, he made an exploitation film, but like it's his version of an exploitation film. The movie's called Red, and it's like so downbeat. I'm sure they sold it as, this will play at drive-ins, and it's just such a downer that there's a reason it hasn't really gone much further than Quebec when it came out. But yeah, I know me and Will both watch La Vraie Nature de Bernadette, The True Nature of Bernadette from 1972.
Bernadette is a housewife who feels stifled in her bourgeois, patriarchal lifestyle. She throws it all away. She goes to the country, her and her son. She leaves her husband behind, and she lives a life of freedom. Freedom in every sense, including sexual freedom. Mm-hmm. Like The Merry World of Leopold Zed, the movie has a kind of shaggy structure. It's all about her interactions with these various town folk, some positive, some negative.
And like when the film begins, you aren't quite sure where you're supposed to land on the character of Bernadette because she's coming from the Montreal suburb. You get the feeling she had a wealthy life. You don't get too many details about her life, just that she's leaving her husband. And she has a lot of ideas of how she wants to live a pure life, saying things like, I won't even teach my son to read or write, because wouldn't he just be free without those kind of constrictions?
And ultimately, this is one of those movies, kind of like, The Mother and the Whore or something like that it kind of comes after the party. It has this decidedly ambivalent take on what has freedom gotten us.
What ends up happening is that Bernadette moves in to an old farmhouse, and basically through providing sexual favors that the film, I don't think, is judgmental in any way.
No.
Like, if anything, it makes the people that she has sex with look more like fools than she is, because she's always in control of what's happening.
I mean, we like her.
We like her, yes.
Character.
Even though I just said that, like, sometimes she has some wacky ideas, you can sympathize with those wacky ideas because her heart is seemingly in the right place. And the whole movie, which I have to say, beautiful, widescreen.
Oh, it looks incredible.
Well, like, the whole film is kind of about the idea of city folk moving to the country, having an idea of what the country is. It's like, I'm going to go there and it'll be good and it'll be pure in a way that, like, the big city is crushing us down.
Well, also, she comes here with these ideas of sexual freedom. She's very progressive, and I feel like the town is not ready for this.
No,
in
absolutely not. Wait, a small town Quebec conservative? I don't believe it.
And one, or at least I sort of expect her to come here and, like, sex is almost this wonderful, liberating, healing force.
A Pleasantville, if you will.
And it isn't really.
If anything, it's almost a destructive force in the way that people get obsessed with it. Eventually it ends up into a, like, is she causing miracles in some way? And they jump very quickly on that. But I think another important part about it, and it starts right from the get-go, and this runs concurrent in almost all of GIlles Carles' work, it is about labor disputes and how, like, something even pastoral like farming is actually very complicated by big business getting involved.
I mean, you definitely see this in The Merry World of Leopold Zed as well.
A lot of Quebec films during this time are about kind of like the complications of labor, but places like the ONF don't like it. For example, a pal of GIlles Carles, Denis Arcand, who, like, he worked with a lot, also made his film. There was a documentary about the textile industry and the labor dispute there. And then I believe it was the ONF is like, this film is banned, we can't show it due to complaints. And then Denis Arcand went and made Gina, which is his, like, I Spit on Your Grave, that half of the film is about a documentary about exploitation of the textile industry. So it's like, how do you get the message into something that is, as far as, like, Bernadette goes, it's a very, like, free love kind of movie.
So you watched The Death of a Lumberjack from 1973?
I did. I don't need to talk about it too much because it's part of this, cycle that he's doing, which is almost a realization of the main women characters about, like, the corruption of life. In this one, The Death of a Lumberjack, it's about a lumberjack gets killed graphically in the opening scene. You see his arms and legs get chainsawed off. And then his daughter, who's a little bit naive, she actually has the name Madeleine Chapdelaine, which is a famous novel character from Quebec, tries to figure out what happened and what's going on. It's a very meandering film in the way that it's presented, to the point that when it ended after 2 hours, I was like, that's it? That's all you're going to give me? It almost feels kind of like a dry run for something like the next film that he made with that star, which is...
La Tête de Normand Saint-Ange.
I love how you're trying to struggle through it in French.
La Tête de Normand Saint-Ange.
What is it in English?
It's simply called Normand in English.
Oh, just Normand, yes.
From 1975.
And so this one stars an actor that he worked with a lot.
Carle, a well-known Québécois actress. You may have seen her in Sweet Movie, or perhaps even the beloved Bobby Roth film Heartbreakers from 1984.
She is an actor that, Sweet Movie is probably what she's been seen in the most, a very sexual role. And that is often how she's presented in GIlles Carles' film, as a very sexual being. And Normand doesn't break the mold. But, oh man, this actor, she appears nude, so it's kind of sexy, right? Wait, Normand is about her trying to deal with her mother having dementia.
Right. The film follows a troubled woman and her troubled family. Normand, she's a working class clerk, an aspiring dancer. She wants to be a cabaret dancer. She lives in this kind of commune environment with people, both family and not. Mm-hmm. There's a magician who lives near her.
Yeah, there's a trashy boyfriend that she lives with.
There's her sister who's drug addicted.
There's also a weirdo that lives on the bottom floor who loves to build like statues out of plaster of naked women.
The drama as such begins when she frees her mother from the institution. She's been institutionalized with dementia by her rich uncle.
Played by Denis Arcand, a guy who hates the public system of health in Canada.
Yeah, that's right. Fuck that guy, by the way.
Yeah, that guy sucks. A guy who the big Canadian movie was like, look at the awful... And here's the thing. Canadian health system, not good.
Yeah, but
terrible.
It's not good for the reasons. We should be investing more in it, is the point.
Isn't it great how, like, the barbarian invasion is like, the only way is to go to the United States and pay for it. It's like, you can fucking pay for it, you asshole.
Yeah, no wonder it won an Oscar. But anyway, she liberates her mother from this institution because she doesn't think her mother should be there. But she herself is falling into this reality-bending dreamscape.
Yeah, she is afraid of having dementia herself, and the movie tends to point us in the direction that, maybe you should see a doctor about what you're feeling right now.
And with society falling in on her, I mean, she gets... an eviction notice. Her professional life is terrible.
Mm-hmm. GIlles Carles' entire career is defined by the big important films like women's place in the world, in Quebec society. How are they themselves defined, and how do they live in it? Sometimes they're painted as kind of innocents, like in Bûcheron, or in Normand, it's like, how do you live in this place that is pushing in on you, that the people that are supposed to take care of you, like your parents, are being lost? Now, I don't think Normand comes to an answer. I think it creates a lot of beautiful images. At times it reminded me of Jess Franco films or Jacques Alain.
I definitely see that. Yeah. I mean, the dreamscape quality of it is extraordinary.
Before I started watching the movies for this podcast, I remember these movies being much funnier. They're not very funny.
No, and I mean, you're kind of waiting for some of them to be, like, again, the Merry World of Leopold Zed.
Yeah. Sounds like it'll be a goofy, fun time. The poster's him being like,
Yeah, there's a kind of Richard Lester-ish quality to it, but it's more the spirit of it. I mean, Normand, I don't think is really funny at all.
No, not at all. Yeah. Like, I mean, the film begins with Carle just covered in like pills, completely nude as the camera just goes across her body, almost making like the thesis statement of like, oh yeah, this is what this is going to be about. Somebody being lost in kind of a sickness that she can't escape, no matter what she tries to, use as a dampener.
But what I'll say is I liked the tone of The True Nature of Bernadette. There's something about it where it is kind of funny.
It's like goofy. It's also a little bit acidic as well.
And it gets quite... Well, frightening's the wrong word, but like the stakes get quite high by the end. Like there's real danger in the film.
But at the same time, none of these movies tend to want to make a definitive statement on anything. If anything, they present something at the end. For example, La Vraie Nature de Bernadette, someone pulls out a gun, firing on a crowd at the end, almost as if it's like a cry of frustration. It's like, is this the only way I can deal with this entire situation?
Yeah, so, the films are not, despite what you may think because of his beginnings as a sort of radical nationalist thinker, the movies are not doctrinaire in any way.
No, not at all. If anything, they're almost trying to wrap very complicated subjects in something a little sweet, but then once you open it up, you're like, ah!
Yeah.
Like even something like Normand, where it's like, oh, it's going to be like a sexploitation kind of film about some bohemians. And it's like, no, not really. It's going to be a bit of a downer.
Well, by the way, it's important about Normand. Was this not a Cinepix film? How would you explain Cinepix? It's a Quebec-based, sleaze merchant, basically. They did a lot of the classic, like, tax shelter films.
Wait, yeah, didn't they do Cannibal Girls, the Jason Reitman film?
Yeah, as well as, they did Shivers. They did Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS.
My Bloody Valentine as well.
Yeah, all those.
Oh, sorry, not Jason Reitman. What am I saying? Ivan Reitman.
Ivan Reitman. I'm saluting him, too.
Oh, yeah, they did Rabid as well. Like,
yeah, they were... And in that time, Quebec had a thriving sexploitation film industry, and that's what this would have been like. This is where this would have snuck out of. So,
yes. So it's like we're selling it as this one thing. You're going to see Carle naked.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And then you sit down, and you're like, I'm ready to go. Oh, no.
And I think you'll see in GIlles Carles' filmography, at every stage, he's working in whatever, like he's going to whatever the form is, and he's subverting it.
Now, John Dunning's biography, the guy who ran Cinepix, have you ever read it?
I keep meaning to.
Oh, it's really fun. Unfortunately, it's kind of half a book because he passed away before it's done. But like the beginning, it's like, this is how, not a justification, but the process of how you go in with the best of intentions and you end up making the great movies that he did that all have exploitative elements in some way.
Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS.
Yeah, exactly. Or Normand. Like if you could do both those movies and kind of package them in a way that can sell, I love that. I mean, that's something that, like, looking at GIlles Carles' career, nothing is specifically commercial in a conventional sense. Like until the end of his career, which we'll touch on, like in his prime in the 70s, they're all like weird and kind of out there, and they're also kind of presenting difficult topics. And he was one of the filmmakers. Like Gilles Carles didn't get to make that many movies after he made his first feature film. Like not a lot of people were able to do it, but Gilles Carles was one of them that was able to have a good stretch, and Denis Arcand somehow still kicking to this day.
I know.
I mean, no one's really watching those movies, but so we also watched a movie that I had never seen, but I had only known from, I guess it's how important it is in a French-Canadian culture. And I don't think you had ever heard of Les Plouffe before, right, Will?
I have not. Known in English as the Plouffe family.
So The Plouffe was a novel that was written about a Quebec family, and the novel runs from the 30s until, I guess it's still in the middle of World War II.
It runs from 1938 to 1945.
Yeah. So the novel comes out. I believe there was a radio show. There was also a very popular soap opera that ran in the 50s on the CBC and Radio-Canada. So it was in French and in English. And so the movie version is them trying to, I guess, re-energize the Plouffe brand.
Yeah, so the film, in the form that we watched it, is 3 hours long. I believe there is a longer cut.
Is there a longer cut?
Yeah.
I thought we watched a long version.
I think there is a longer cut.
Okay.
Kind of in the same way that, like, Scenes from a Marriage has a longer cut. But the cut that we saw, which is about 3 hours, it follows the lives and loves of this family, Josephine, the mother,
Théophile? Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah.
The father, and their 3 sons, all of whom are grown.
Oh, man. Every time they said the name of their son Napoleon, I was like, oh, Napoleon. I was like, oh, that poor bastard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so
Vote for Pedro, am I right?
So all of these characters, there's not much of a through line in this film.
Well, what the through line is it's the Second World War, as well as the Roman Catholic Church.
Oh my God. Like those damn English Protestants.
Yeah.
So like there's a huge through line in this film about like a Protestant priest who comes around and he's like, oh, hello. Yes, I'm English, and my wife is here. She wants to learn French. How's it going? They're very polite to him. He leaves, and the family's like, you get that fucker out of here. Never let him back into our door, which leads to, like, big fights. And it's a real, like, I think even I do not have the cultural background to find enough meaning in this.
Well, this is a challenge that I ran up against with this movie, which I think this movie is fine.
Yeah.
You spend so much time with this family, and it doesn't have like the plot doesn't really have a lot of momentum
No.
per se. It's a series of
Scenes.
a series of incidents. You get to know these characters and you see history passing behind them. But there are so many things, like, for example, when the king comes to visit, you know,
You got to put the flag out. And he's like, I'm not putting out that flag.
you know, there's stuff like that all throughout this movie.
But that's why I think a movie like this is so important in Quebec society, because it's reflective of something that no other film will document.
Exactly. And I think, you know, we're coming at this, and I don't know if this is a me problem or if this is the movie problem, because obviously there are all sorts of movies from different cultures. People used to say, like, Ozu is untranslatable.
Yes.
Like, he can't travel overseas. Turns out he can.
Well, here's the thing, Will. I lived as a French Canadian until I was 18. So even me, I'm like, I can see where this is coming from. I've experienced, I was Catholic like my entire life. We go to Sunday. So I'm in there.
Yeah.
But even this, I'm like, this ain't compelling enough. This is just a bunch of scenes. But then what's great about this is I can look on Letterboxd, where it's a self-selecting audience who's like 5 stars, 5 stars. When he says that line at the dinner table, I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, what the hell line are they talking about?
Well, yeah, it's like this movie and this story, and this is the story that it tells is obviously like a story of great significance in Quebec. You know, this is a franchise.
Yes.
For God's sake.
It keeps going on and on, like they keep returning to the subject.
Yeah, it's hugely meaningful. Not to me.
No, me neither. And the film does not present enough evidence for me to find it compelling just in itself. Like, we've talked about Cholet, Indian classic. We were sitting in the audience, people were reciting lines, and we're like, why that line?
Yeah.
But that film is compelling on its own. Like, we can watch it and understand, oh, this is why it would connect. And if it kind of stayed with us for long enough, maybe those lines that they're quoting we would get.
Well, yeah, doesn't this movie just feel like kind of a trudge?
It does.
Apologies to you Les Plouffe fans.
And I think it also is playing to audiences that are already familiar with this material.
Yeah.
If anything, it feels like a best of collection. Now, did I enjoy seeing things I've never seen in cinema? Yes. There is so much weight put on horseshoes. It's not even,
my God.
It's not even horseshoes. I think they call it like rondelle. And I was like, is this a Canadian thing? They keep talking about, like, he's going to be the national champion of rondelle, which is just like throwing a circle on a thing. Maybe that's very specific, like Quebec in that period. I could find almost no reference to it when I was looking about it online.
So, you know, I've enjoyed watching these movies, maybe less so Les Plouffe, although I found things to like in it. I've enjoyed watching these movies.
I mean, you're a Plouffe head now. I already got you the novelization.
I feel like I'm a member of the family after watching
now,
this.
are you going to watch the sequel, which is all about Vive, directed by Denis Arcand?
Well, you know, I probably will, because we're going to encompass all of cinema on this podcast at some
Denis
point.
Arcand episode.
Denis Arcand. Hey, I like Gina.
You're just saying, his early films rule.
Oh, yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah, I
And then he
completely
does the thing, it's like, you know, I'm older, I have money. I don't like how much I pay in taxes anymore.
I've never seen Decline of the American Empire, but
It's not good.
I feel like I wouldn't like it.
Do you like The Big Chill, Will?
I get it. Yeah.
But anyway, sorry.
Well, what I was going to say is, like, I like the spirit of these movies, and I like the context that he's coming from. I like the flag that he's planting and the gauntlet he's laying down. I feel at a remove from it, and I'm curious because you've been following him for a long time, and something about him hooked into you.
Yeah.
And what is it?
I think it was just like someone in Canada making these like weird, almost European films at a consistency that no one else did. If you look at Canadian cinema, no one has a consistent career. They have maybe 1, maybe 2. If you're real lucky, 3 movies, then you become a TV director. And GIlles Carles was able to, throughout his career, kind of have, like, I believe he directed a lot of commercials, and that kind of paid the bills. And then he was able to make these kind of films. Like, I should have made you watch this one, but there's a really fun film that he made late in his career that is a full-on musical called Fantastica, which it was Carle and her soon-to-be husband. I don't know if they were married at this point, Louis Fury. It has like 12 original songs. It's all about like eco-terrorists in a French small town. It also features a dubbed in French John Vernon as the villain of the film.
Hell yes.
Super colorful, super wacky. And I think because I had seen that one recently, I'm like, oh, those other films are like that, right? They are not.
Well, I think what fascinates me just about this run of movies, from Leopold Zed to Les Plouffe, at least, because I haven't seen beyond that, is you're seeing them in a number of very different forms, from an early new wave inspired documentary fiction hybrid to an exploitation movie. It's not actually, but it snuck in under that banner, to this like epic historical drama. You're seeing somebody very interested in the Québécois condition and trying to communicate it, and returning to similar themes: the place of a woman in society, labor conditions, cultural imperialism from the Anglosphere. They're all in these movies, but in very different forms, very different genres and styles.
And I think what I'm fascinated about his career too is no one's talking about it. Like recently, Le Chat qui Fume, which is a Blu-ray label in France, a really big one, they've put together like a Quebec collection, and there were 2 of his films on there. But even like Canadian International Pictures, they've only done Léopold Z. That's it. And I think that's probably because it's an NFB film and they have a connection there. But like only Quebec, the company Elephant, have done remasters of his film. Is there no interest? Are they like, we don't even know these films because nobody's talking about them?
Well, it's interesting because when you look into, because Quebec is a considerable film industry, and when you look into who are the important directors from the 60s and 70s, it's Claude Jutra, and
we don't talk about him
we don't
anymore.
talk about it anymore, and it's the 2 GIlles.
Yes.
And nobody watches the 2 GIlles films.
Nope, not at all. But maybe that could change. Maybe some listeners will go out. All the films that we talked about are available restored and widescreen and with English subtitles. So they're out there, I think, on iTunes. And there's some that I watch a lot. He did some westerns late in his career. So there's a whole like post Marie Chapdelaine, which was his big like, I'm adapting the big great Canadian novel. Almost all of his films past there are like lost media. Like, and of course that becomes very interesting for someone like me and Will, where we're like, there's a movie that has no logs on Letterboxd and no one likes them. He started working with, so I didn't mention it, but almost every star that he worked with, he said this himself, he was dating at the time, and they were kind of his muse and his inspiration.
Oh, I see. His muse.
Yes. For like 27 years, maybe even longer, until he passed away, he worked with Chloé Sainte-Marie, starting with, the English title is Skybolt, and the French title is La Guêpe, which is not translate to Skybolt. That translates to the Wasp.
I mean, I love the look of this movie, Skybolt. It looks like such trash.
It looks like a 90s erotic thriller, but it's made in 1986. I could not find any copy. I'm sure if I went like to a library, they probably have it on VHS somewhere and I could get it.
What about this one, this Michael Biehn Western?
Okay, so the Michael Biehn Western was part of a TV movie series called, I think it was Into the Wild, and GIlles Carles directed 2 of them. They're pretty anonymous. I have only seen the Michael Biehn one dubbed in Russian, but it's called
Blood of the Hunter.
Blood of the Hunter. But I have seen the Jürgen Prochnow. We all love him from Das Boot, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
And wait, he's also in House of the Dead, isn't he? He plays the boat captain.
I'm sure he's in lots of stuff.
The Other Side of the Law, which again is kind of like his early film Red, which is, it's promising something, in this case a revenge thriller, but that's not, it kind of swerves and it's about something much sadder. So, he continued these kind of like genre exercise that are subversions of what you would expect. Maybe that's why it doesn't get talked more about. But listen, if people out there's a Blu-ray distributor listening to this who has the funds to release these films, make deals with Elephant, get Normand, Cinepix. I feel there's an audience out there who would be like, whoa, what is this? So that would be the one I would recommend if you have like kind of cult leanings. If you want something fun, check out Fantastica. That's the one that I showed during my musical Mind Melter. And yeah, people really liked it. And it's very in your face and colorful. GIlles Carles said it was his attempt at like, after a string of fairly dreary films, to have some fun with movie making. So as per usual, you can send us letters at importantcinemaclubpodcast@gmail.com. And our first letter is from Hunter. And he goes, hey, Important Cinema Club Aminos.
Sure.
I was recently given the chance to commune with one of the great masters of cinema. So I saw this and I was like,
Mort Rifkin?
You're going to... When you hear who it is, you'll be like, oh, yeah. And given that y'all's recent discussion about his works, who have we talked about recently?
I don't know. Who?
And let you know how the great man was doing, cinematically anyways. Now, I've checked after reading this email. This film is not available anywhere. The medium of this communion was the most sacred of cinematic spaces, the in-flight entertainment console. I took a vacation with my parents to Bermuda over Christmas this year and was expecting to catch up with some Hollywood dross on the flight in before settling on which piece of American crap to watch. However, I carefully browsed the Chinese movie selection. Because modern Chinese films are almost the perfect thing to watch on long flights. Nestled within the selection of films I have never heard of was something that immediately caught my eye, a 2025 film, I've never heard of this before, by the title of Queen of Mahjong.
Queen of Mahjong.
Who do you think directed that film?
Gotta be Wang Jing.
Yep, it's a Lunar New Year style poster. It was immediately appealing, but I knew I was in for a good time when I realized who directed it. The greatest himself, Wang Jing.
Yeah. Wang Jing.
Even with that stamp of approval, people don't know Wong Jing is the Hackmeister of Hong Kong, directed God of Gamblers, City Hunter, and ripoffs of all the popular movies.
More than 100 films, and he has a reputation as being completely shameless.
I was a bit worried when I started the film, as I assumed that Jing would have undergone the same personality erasing treatments that every great Hong Kong director has been subjected to in the last 15 years, which is true. But to my utter delight, I am so happy to report that our man still has it. Queen of Mahjong turned out to be just as entertaining and crass as the stamp of Wong Jing implies, and I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. I'm really glad that he's still out there. Who are some of the old guards that we've lost recently?
I mean, we lost Corey Yoon.
Yes. Well, not passed away. That are still making movies that aren't that...
Movies in Hong Kong and stuff. Well,
yeah, or movies in Hong Kong, and putting big air quotes.
You know who's still kind of interesting is Herman Yao. But Herman Yao, is not to say that his movies are good all or even most of the time.
Here's the thing. Herman Yao has the perfect gambit. 10 for them, 1 for me. Did you see his new one that he like completely self-funded? I don't think it's been released yet. That he completely self-funded himself.
I've heard about it. Yeah. I think that's very intriguing. I mean, I had a great time going to see Moscow Mission, and
yes. I've some of the ugliest films that we've ever seen on screen.
Herman Yao's movies just keep playing in downtown multiplexes here, and I keep going.
What's amazing about that Wong Jing film that he mentioned is that there are still movies that are just not available at our finger. Queen of Mahjong is not out. Like, I don't know if it will come out. Like, it only exists on planes, perhaps. Like,
not on, like...
I checked. I was like, oh, the new Wong Jing film? It's got to be Is he a co-director on the film? Of course he is.
This is so weird. It's like, I read Sight and Sound. I subscribe to the Film Comment newsletter. How come they're not covering the new Wong?
Here's the thing. I am so sad I do not have websites like monkeybeaches.com to go to with all my new Asian movie news. Even like Twitch Film, I would be following these movies. The poster would come out.
I know.
And I don't see any of this now.
I used to love lovehkfilm.com.
Oh, that website rocked. I wonder what happened. That guy just decided he doesn't want to do it anymore. That was like my go-to resource. Love HK Film, hkfilm.net.
Honestly, Love HK Film is still my go-to resource.
Really good.
If I just need to know, like, is this movie good?
Now, what's good about that website is he comes from not the, like, white guy perspective on these movies, that he has much more knowledge on them. He also seems to really dislike, like, 90% of what he watches.
Well, I think that's why he stopped, too, because after about the year 2010, it was really over.
Yeah, he was like, what is this, a new film starring the twins? I guess.
Yeah.
What's Ekin Cheng up to these days? There's a subject for an episode.
Man, you're saying these names, the twins, Ekin Cheng. This used to be the new guard.
Is there episodes in the twins? Okay, this is completely impenetrable.
How do we explain it? I love how like 10 minutes ago we were saying,
GIlles Carles
Les Ploufs. It's hard for us to connect to Les Ploufs because we're not Québécois. And now we're talking about the twins, who are a completely ephemeral, like, pop sensation in Hong Kong.
My giant box of the Twins Effect that came in like a giant vampire thing would say differently, Will.
I mean, the Twins Effect, that's a movie that I, of course, saw under the title The Vampire Effect.
Yes.
Because at my local video store, my local Rogers Video...
Is Jackie Chan right on the cover?
A new Jackie Chan movie came out that I had no idea what it was, and I played it, and I thought, this must be the Jackie Chan who made Fantasy Mission Force. Mm-hmm. How did he end up in this? What did he have?
Donnie Yen's in that movie too.
Did he have triad obligations? And actually, no. It was the Emperor Motion Picture Group, which had its fingers in music, recording, and everything. He was in there, and so it was synergy is what it was.
Man, we could talk about like those Hong Kong pop stars that made movies like boomers talk about like 60s comedian on television.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, let me tell you about Edison Chen and why he got canceled.
Edison Chen, man. Now that's a name. You mean the Dark Knight's Edison Chen.
Oh, is he in the Dark Knight?
He's in the Dark... We kept hearing, especially during that scandal, oh man, Edison Chen's in the Dark Knight. He's in, the scene where Morgan Freeman goes to Hong Kong?
Yeah.
He is out of focus in the background in that scene, The Dark Knight.
And of course, when we get to the Edison Chen episode, we'll explain that he got canceled completely from the industry because he got his phone repaired and there was naked photos of tons of pop stars that hacked, and that's where they got the photos.
Yeah.
And he got cut out of a movie that he starred in, and the movie makes no sense.
I mean, it's a horrible story. It's awful. Horrible for everyone involved.
Yes. But the twins, and they're not even twins.
The twins.
They're not even twins.
The twins were in there. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if they were in there.
About that. And Ekin Chen, though. Ekin Chen is bigger. I don't think he's still around. Because he's a huge pop star, too.
Yeah. What about Nicholas Say?
Nicholas Say, he's still working.
Yeah.
He's an action choreographer now who does a lot of that.
Yeah.
He's all like roided out.
Yeah.
As an important cinema club, we're doing ephemeral 2000 pop star turned movie actors month.
I mean, it doesn't compare to like the current like crop of Mandarin pop stars. Who,
I mean, they're gulagged like 2 movies in and they're gone.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing is that like in the 2000s, I knew who all of these people were.
yeah.
And because they made so many movies.
I just saw the poster for Jackie Chan's Panda Plan 2.
Is there a whole bunch of like just anonymous faces?
Yeah, you got Jackie, you got the panda,
Yeah.
and he's surrounded by just all these like 22-year-olds.
Yes.
And it's like, here today, gone tomorrow. I don't think any of you were in Panda Plan 1.
Well, when you do something like Gen X Cops, you're going to remember all of those actors and they will continue in the industry.
That's right. Paul Rudd.
That's Gen Y Cops, my friend.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. Paul Rudd, okay. If people haven't seen Paul Rudd in Gen Y Cops, so Paul Rudd post Clueless, he's struggling. So he ends up in Hong Kong, bleach blonde hair, doing martial art. Is he the villain in that movie? I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Here's a letterboxd list. Early 2000s Hong Kong action movies with slumming American stars.
Now,
because you got Black Mass 2, City of Mass.
Does Scott Atkins count? He's
Yes,
starting his, but
yes.
he's starting his career.
Oh, it doesn't count. No.
Yeah.
Black Mass 2, City of Mass, which has Tobin Bell, Tracy Lords.
Oh, yeah. That's
Who
right.
else is in it? Like other people.
Oh, there's a bunch of wrestlers, too.
bunch of wrestlers. There have got to be other examples. I need a third.
Let me think about in the early 2000s. Do you know
Yeah.
that Steven Seagal's in a South Korean movie?
Like now?
No, Clementine from like the early 2000s.
Maybe I did know that.
He's in like a cage match at one point. Okay,
Wow.
you listen. The Discord, we got a bunch of Hong Kong cinema fans. They will know. You know what? I feel like we have not dived deep enough into early 2000s Hong Kong cinema.
Well, we did a post 97 handover episode.
Yeah, we did about movies that were about that, but we haven't talked about Gen X Cops,
You're
Gen
right.
Y Cops.
What if we did an episode on stuff that was at the video store at that time in the West that was from Hong Kong?
Oh, I want this.
We could talk about Returner.
Yep. Oh, wow.
You remember that one?
Not a Hong Kong film. That's Japanese. Even though Takashi Kashiniro, I can't say his last name.
Takeshi Kaneshiro.
Kaneshiro's in it because he speaks Chinese.
He's a Hong
Japanese.
Kong star.
Yeah.
Hey, just while we're on the topic of Hong Kong stuff, can we briefly address Wong Kar-wai's Blossoms?
Oh, I was about to bring that up because the letter writer actually mentions filmmakers Choi Hark, Wong Kar-wai. Is there a filmmaker who no one? Well, this is the thing about Blossoms, right? No one cares about series.
Well, it's just interesting that like when David Lynch did Twin Peaks: The Return,
I was there day one.
Many people were. It was seismic.
Yeah.
And we're still feeling like the earthquake from that to this day. Meanwhile, Wong Kar-wai, who also hadn't made a movie in like 10 years,
Yes.
comes with his epic 18-episode series.
I haven't seen a single person talk about.
peep.
Yes.
Probably because it looks bad. Like,
So have you seen any trailers for it?
I have. I've
Yeah.
seen a trailer, and it looks like I'm sorry. You remember?
Isn't Tony Leung in it too?
No, he's not.
Oh, I thought he
I
was.
actually think they had a falling out,
Okay.
which is too bad.
Yeah.
I don't know who's in it, but what I do know is like, do you remember how Chungking Express and those movies, Fallen Angels, like there was some like texture, there was some
Yeah.
grit.
Yeah.
I mean, this just looks like the Apple Store.
Are there any late period Wong Kar-wai defenders? Like, I
Well,
love the remasters that he did for Criterion.
Well, hey, I liked the Grandmaster.
I mean, I really like
didn't
the
you like-
Grandmaster as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like,
His behavior since then.
yeah.
I mean,
No.
it's appalling what he's done.
Yeah. And I don't know, are there Blossoms? It's on the Criterion channel.
He's actually getting canceled in China right now.
He is. I
Yep.
know. What is the reason for it again?
Well, there was audio that leaked of him badmouthing the government. So there's that. There's that.
There's
and
something else,
also,
though. There's
he
another
was, I think he
excuse.
was sued for plagiarism.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
He pissed somebody off.
yeah.
Like, it doesn't.
So he may never work again in China. That's what I've heard.
I mean, Wong Kar-wai was always a guy that it felt like he was one announcement away from being like, I'm just not doing anything anymore. Like,
Well, because he's hardly worked in 25 years.
yeah, and we've all seen how that is in the Jerry Lewis classic, Hardly Working.
Yeah.
Did he direct every episode of Blossoms?
I think he did. Yeah.
That's insane that no one is talking
Wong
about.
Kar-wai, like the most beloved art house director of the last 30 years.
I feel like most people, if they're not in the know, you'd be like, oh, Wong Kar-wai. And they'd be like, yeah, he passed away, right? Like,
Yeah.
No, there's a whole series. Here, if there's any famous directors listening to this, Do not do a limited series. No one cares.
You know, it is wild. Isn't it crazy? I haven't watched Olivier Assayas's Irma Vep series.
No, because no one watches those.
Which is crazy.
People really like
that's,
Irma Vep.
That's made for me.
Yeah.
I should watch it.
I know, but
maybe later tonight I'll watch it.
It's 10 hours, and you would rather watch the original Le Vampire, which is also 10 hours.
That's right.
Than the Olivier Assayas thing.
That's true.
You know, it's all that like streaming culture of like we want just the
Crisis in 6 Scenes.
But you watched that day one.
Oh, I was there. That was my Twin Peaks: The Return.
The Woody Allen limited series. Did that almost get canceled? What happened to that? Like,
well, it did get it got canceled in the sense that nobody, if a tree falls in the forest.
But didn't everybody want to see Miley Cyrus finally getting her starring role?
I did. I wanted to see all that.
I feel like I did watch that. And maybe I just sandblasted it from my memory.
Throw it on.
I'm not throwing. Wait, who stars in Crisis in 6 Scenes?
Elaine May.
Oh,
Can you believe Elaine May's done like one thing in 30 years and it's that?
She's on Broadway a lot, or she was.
Yeah, she wrote plays. She was actually
in Broadway.
Was in Broadway. Yeah.
Wasn't it
right.
Jesse Eisenberg or something like that? It was him.
I can't remember.
I don't remember. I remember walking by when I was in New York and said like Elaine May, blah blah blah, coming up. That would have been nice. Anyway, thank you for a letter about a Wong Jing film you saw on a plane.
Yeah, that led to that stream of consciousness discussion that ended at Elaine May.
Yeah, you get the strings out on a board and follow us in that talk. So thank you very much for that letter. And as per usual, it is importantcinemaclubpodcast@gmail.com. Next week,
we're going to be talking about Susan Seidelman.
That's right. A filmmaker that I believe the only film I've ever seen that she's directed is She-Devil.
Oh, you're kidding.
I don't think I've seen Smithereens.
You haven't seen Smithereens? Well,
No.
Smithereens good.
Yeah.
You haven't seen Making Mr. Right, the John Malkovich comedy?
No.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to watch Smithereens. We're going to watch Desperately Seeking Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Should we watch Making Mr. Right or Cookie or both?
Well, why not both?
Let's do both.
Yeah, let's do both. Now, you are not going past the 90s, I see, where...
Well, if anyone knows, is there a good one after that? And that's a sincere question because I see that she's made a TV movie about the Bunny Ranch. She's made something called The Hot Flashes, which looks kind of like Bring It On, like Bring It On exploitation. The Only Mutual I have gives it 2 stars on Letterboxd. Tales of Erotica, the portmanteau film that also has segments by Ken Russell and Bob Rafelson, could be interesting.
Now, I do like this poster for Boynton Beach Club and all these withered old faces on it.
Oh my God, those are some old men.
I don't know if I recognize any of them. Let's look at these credits. We got Brendan Vaccaro, Diane Cannon, Len Cariou. I don't know any of these actors.
I know Diane Cannon. All the stars are here.
Joseph Bologna, Sally Kellerman. All the photos are in black and white.
All right. Well, the point is we're not going to be talking about that one.
No.
But we're here to praise Susan Seidelman, not to bury her. But if anyone knows, like after the Golden Run, like after Cookie, basically, is there anything that's good in there?
I did see some people jumping to praise Gaudy Afternoon from 2001. Ooh, nice. It's on Tubi. So, stuff to explore. Make the case in the Discord. So that's what we're doing next week, Susan Seidelman. Until then, my name's Justin Decloux.
I'm Will Sloan.
Thanks for listening.
Well, we want to give some thanks to our listeners on this episode.
We do.
People sometimes send us stuff in the mail. Mm-hmm. People sometimes write profiles of us in the newspaper.
Yes.
People
okay.
sometimes help us out in various ways.
Well, let's talk about the newspaper first, the one that's all about us, I guess.
Yeah, well, our longtime listener and a great guy, IRL, Quinn Henderson, did a beautiful profile of us in the Globe and Mail.
That he pitched to the Globe and Mail.
Canada's paper of record.
That he said, it's the 10th anniversary. I'd like to write about these bozos that do a podcast. And Globe and Mail said, yeah, do it. So he interviewed us. And like it was still like we weren't sure, like maybe it'll be for the web, maybe it'll be for the paper.
We did a photo shoot.
Okay, when we did a photo shoot, that's like this is gonna be in the paper then, I assume.
Yeah.
And it was. If you pick up, well, you can't now.
You can't anymore, but trust us, it was there. It was great.
In the Globe and Mail on Friday. What's the date today?
Friday. Today's date is a peek behind the curtain. We're recording on Friday, February 6th.
And the front page is Toronto police charge an organized crime probe.
Okay.
Which is good. I was shocked. We are in the first leaflet.
The first section.
First section. Go to Weekend Watching. This Canadian podcast is important indeed. And I got to tell you, This ain't a puff piece. This is a deep dive. This is someone who knows their stuff.
Well, we got references to Matt Farley. We got
William Bodine or Bruce Lee, not Bruce Lee, is, if you know these guys, you're part of the club.
We got a mention of Joe Gage in Canada's newspaper of record. But I also want to tell you about the Globe and Mail. You should read it because there's a section on real estate. There's a special section in this issue about private schools, which I know will be relevant to all of you. You're thinking, what private school should I get my child in Canada in? Oh yeah, there's a big ad at the back with the Honorable Doug Ford,
Premier of Ontario.
So we're bringing culture to people who read a newspaper with a real estate and a private school section.
Did I get an email from my uncle because he read it in the newspaper? I did. So thank you very much.
Yeah, this is what's great about being in the newspaper.
But I will say that is my cool uncle, Jean-Marc, who is a filmmaker himself, who has done a bunch of stuff for the NFB. So there you go.
Very cool.
So thank you very much for the article. You can actually find it online, and that one has 2 extra sexy photos of me and Will that you won't find in the newspaper.
Oh, isn't it nice having a photo shoot?
I mean, I've never had a photo shoot in my life.
We have new headshots out. Can you believe we have photos of us that are like well lit?
Yes, they're well lit. Like they're nicely picked. One of them, I'm holding a reel of Detour in it by my scanning machine.
They took 1,000 million trillion photos of us and they selected the 3 that were good.
Yes. I mean, they struggled.
Yeah.
Because of us, not because of the photographer.
Yeah.
Who ruled. And he had a hard job because my son was running around because Emily was out during that time. But let's talk about some stuff we have gotten at our P.O. Box, which you can find below in the description of this email.
And this is not, you don't have to send us stuff, folks, but sometimes people do, and I always appreciate it. Who's this? A really great listener sent us a bunch of paperbacks, really cool paperbacks, and you'll tell me who it was, but Justin divvied it up between us. He gave me the ones he thought I would like.
Yeah, well, I confirmed with Will before if I was like, hey, do you think you'd be interested in this?
He was right on the money.
Yeah. The listener is, I'm looking here because he sent us a homemade Bigfoot on the Movies zine or comic. It's just him writing about Bigfoot movies. This is amazing. It's just Bigfoot in movies. So it's like a Goofy movie. There's a bunch of pictures of Batman in here.
Oh, so cool. Yeah, I love it when people send their zines.
You love it. Yeah. And he actually wrote a big long note as well, which I very much appreciating it. I won't read it all. It's a little long. He just says he's a big fan. But he also mentions that he knew director Jeff Leroy. I've mentioned him before. He does a bunch of special effects stuff. And he actually says that Jeff Leroy was a truly great guy, sweet and humble. And he did some heroic things in young people's lives in our downtown Long Beach community, as well as going down to the beach on the weekends to shoot bikini bazers for Poorman Trenton's web series, Poorman's Bikini Beach. Are you familiar with?
No, but that makes me think of Brazzers.
Something like that.
I know what Brazzers is.
He mentions here, at the time I was doing a regular living room hangout with other local writers and thespians called Weird Movie Club. And not only did Jeff come to share Rat Scratch Fever, one of my favorite movies of all time, with us, but he became an infrequent attendee, hopping on every now and again to reminisce about seeing Clean Shaven on the festival circuit and to share insight about his friend Damon Packard.
Wow.
Or to give vocal appreciation for the Bat Puppet in Boxer's Omen. So Jeff Leroy, a guy that I could never get quite a read on. I remember I heard someone say, he was difficult to work with on a Blu-ray that we did, but I've heard more people than that say he's the best guy in the world. He's super nice. He's awesome. I love Jeff Leroy. He's a guy that I've always said does not have the cult that he deserves. He makes like backyard, super ambitious, action, gore, splatter movies with tons of miniature effects that the letter writer points out he would shoot on the roof of his apartment with tons of explosions, and he would shoot on film. So all his movies are the shittiest like digital video. People's heads are being ripped off, and then it'll cut to a beautifully done miniature exploding on film in slow motion. So check out Jeff Leroy's films out. I believe that Visual Vengeance just announced they're putting out The Screaming, one of his films, coming out in a big special edition. But anyway, the person who sent us this nice letter, Jasper Oliver, also sent us a big box of books. This is the only time, I believe, someone has sent us just a bunch of random things, which I am a big fan of because this guy knows us well. What did you get, Will?
Okay, so again, Jasper sent us a bunch of books, and Justin expertly, because he knows me so well, figured out which ones I would like and which ones he would like. So he's given me Jane Russell's autobiography with 16 pages of fabulous photos.
Yep.
Drat, The Encapsulated Wit of W.C. Fields.
Now, Will, you're not allowed to get rid of this book, but why did you open and you went, this guy?
It's a Richard J. Annobile book.
Yes.
Richard J. Annobile, if you've ever been to a used bookstore and been to the film section, you'll have seen his books. He's the guy who in the 70s just did books that were blow-up frames from movies. And back before video, people bought these books because it was like, well, I can never see Frankenstein when I want to, but I have this book that's just pictures of every shot from the movie.
Yeah.
Or like the Marx Brothers.
Yeah, well, it's pre-VHS usually, right?
Exactly.
So it's like,
and so within 2 years, everyone gave those books to bookstores. But actually, I love this one because it's paperback sized, which is my favorite size. And it's full of the wit and wisdom of W.C. Fields. But best of all,
this feels like a joke book you would see someone made a cover of.
This is the crown jewel. Look it up online because it has such a beautiful cover. Red Skelton's favorite ghost stories. So America's Funny Man, Red Skelton. There's a picture of him holding his own severed head. Well, he's got his own head, but he's also got a severed head that's also him. And the severed head is laughing, and it's Red Skelton. I guess it's serious ghost stories.
Yeah, or like in the public domain. Is Red Skelton famous for being a Supernatural fan?
No,
like,
he's a comedian.
Yeah. It's not a Red Skeleton. It's the comedian Red Skelton, who I don't think I have any association with.
My mom loved him.
Oh, she did? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't. I mean, he's fine. You know, I love this book though. This is great.
So he included in the box Clive Barker's Books of Blood, one of the greatest short story collections ever. And I love that this is, I think, an 80s paperback of this printing. Yeah, 1986. I've never seen this before. I've only seen more recent reprints. A book on Joseph Losey by James Leahy, which Will was like, I got that. Is James Leahy a famous critic? Or
No, but Joseph Losey's a famous director.
Oh, of course. I also got an issue of Nostalgia Digest. We can't talk for too long. Have you ever been tempted to become a Nostalgia Digest subscriber?
Every time I see it.
Yeah, and it's on shelves at like Indigo.
Yeah, it is there, but you know, it's like I have enough magazines.
But I like that this issue, Winter 2026, so the newest one, the Andrew Sisters.
I just want to point out, actually, I want to shout out, when I was in Los Angeles last year, I think it was, somebody came to one of my events and gave me a Nostalgia Digest that had Fred Allen on the cover. And if you're listening, I just want to thank you for that, because that was really cool.
He also got a paperback copy of Who Censored Roger Rabbit, the novel that Who Framed Roger Rabbit is based on. By the novel's written by Gary Wolfe. And I looked at it and I went, it's weird that Roger Rabbit is not on this cover. And that's because this was published before the movie came out. So I love how it says a cult classic, and there's a weird off-brand Roger Rabbit because the design doesn't exist yet. I hear this book has almost nothing to do with the movie other than some of the names. Meet Roger Rabbit. Oh, right, because he's a comic strip star. He's not a cartoon star in this.
Whoa.
And meet the DeGreasy brothers. Jessica Rabbit, I know who that is. Dr. Beaver. Don't know who that is. Sid Sleaze, slimy porno comic strip producer.
Looks, yeah.
And Eddie Valiant. There's a pull quote here. Zany, ! Boston Herald, America. All right, let's move on to the zine.
Quickly. Let's run through what the zines are, because we got some good ones.
So we got the, and he wrote in this letter, so unfortunately you can't buy any more of these. The last issues of the Moturn zine that Swampflix did. Swampflix is a website. It's a fellow that writes a bunch of movie reviews, Brandon Ledette. And what's great is that, like, does he still write the reviews out? I know he does illustrations for them.
I mean, in the zine, it's all handwritten.
It's all handwritten.
And it has his illustrations.
I remember when he first released it in 2019. I wanted to buy it, but it didn't, like, ship to the United States. And it's also, he says in the letter that he sent us, he only got into Moturn because of us. So he thought it would be fair that we got the final issues of his zine.
Oh, I see you have Cine Club by Joe.
I do.
Who interviewed me for my Ed Wood book. And was wonderful to talk to.
Did you get Cine Club issue 2 already?
Yes, Joe Tyndall, really nice guy. He sent me his Cine Club zine as well, and I really enjoyed it.
I love how it starts. Though I wrote this piece sometime before it was ever released, I've been thinking about Conrad Rooks again since reading Will Sloan's superb book, Ed Wood Made in America, Hollywood, USA. Confusingly, one of Wood's repertory of actors was called Conrad Brooks.
Well, Joe, if you're listening, please know that when I opened the zine,
you thought it was going to be about Conrad Brooks?
I saw Conrad Brooks and I went, oh boy, my guy, Conrad Brooks. And then I went, oh. And then I went, oh, he mentioned me.
I thought the exact same thing. I should say that Mr. Swampflix also has other zines that he's done. Oh, this one just has illustrations based on all the reviews that he did. That's fun. Flash Flood, Swampflix, movie reviews, Flash art. Now, is Cineclub, does he sell copies of this online?
I'm not sure, but he's got a website. He's got a Substack, so you should check it out.
We also got from Adele Souto, this is an amazing zine that it's not about movies, but it's all about music, and he structures it as like stream of consciousness about like music and other things that inspire him. There's a whole section about like, I spent many years in Cuba, and like this composer who worked on a bunch of television used to play in my room. I love zines like this. Even if it's not specifically movie related, guys, I will take them. So if you listen to this podcast, you probably have similar interests to us. So even if it's not movie, you can still send it to us. Enigmatic Audio by Adil Suto. He even said like, hey, I know this is not movie related, but maybe this would interest you.
It certainly does.
This is by Dan. We've talked about Headclog before, and this is my favorite kind of zine. Just overflowing with text. Like you open it up, a lot of like articles that are cut off and pasted into it. The best. And I love how it starts. I'm on the Greyhound leaving Chicago to visit my family for Thanksgiving. We're scheduled to meet in Madison. I'm reasonably certain that I've boarded the right bus. The driver never made any kind of announcement. Love it. And all subjects I have never heard anywhere else. So...
yeah, that one's by the great Dan Erdman.
He wrote a book about porn loops, didn't he?
Yeah, that's correct. He wrote an excellent book, frankly, called Let's Go Stag, A History of Pornographic Film.
If you want more information about these zines, I would say check it in the Discord. A lot of the people are there, and they can probably provide you more information on where you can check them out.